Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Godbreaker. The man who rules the world takes on the Asgardian god of thunder in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Godbreaker in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Historical Men in Crisis. Now, Jake LaMotta was the world middleweight champion between 1949 and 1951, and he was nicknamed the Bronx Bull or the Raging Bull for his approach of fighting, and he was a very successful person as related to boxing. Unfortunately, he didn't have the male life skills in order to maintain that success to have a long career in boxing. Now, Jake LaMotta basically was a man in crisis due to the dysfunctional way he was raised by his beta male father, who basically showed him nothing about leadership, and because he didn't get the male life skill of leadership, he wasn't able to navigate a course in life that would allow him to maintain success in the world of boxing, or after his boxing career ended, and it couldn't even maintain success as related to his personal life. Now, Jake LaMotta's father took the family from Italy to America, and as they moved from Philadelphia to the Bronx, Jake LaMotta's father had his son, when he was a boy, fighting in a ring in order to entertain adults, and would force his son to fight other boys in the ring to entertain these adults who really showed how they had no real moral position, because no parent who cared about their children would want their children fighting in a ring with each other. However, Jake LaMotta's father was desperate because he wasn't really making a lot of money, so what he would do is, again, put his son in the ring to fight, and as he would put his son in this ring to fight, people would throw pocket change in the ring, and the father would scavenge this money and use it to help pay the rent. And as he used this money to pay the rent, he wasn't really looking out for his son and teaching him male life skills or male survival skills. No, because his beta male father wasn't looking out for him. What happened to Jake LaMotta is that he fell into juvenile delinquency and then eventually wound up in a reform school in upstate New York as related to an attempted robbery he participated in. And while he was in that reformatory, that's where he learned how to box. Now, as he learned how to box as a middleweight, he went on to have a long 14-0 streak before, and having 3 knockouts before having a controversial split decision in Cleveland. And this basically was the start of his career as a boxer. And after this, he then started fighting Sugar Ray Robinson, a black man. And as he was fighting Sugar Ray Robinson, he had a tumultuous relationship with his first wife. And as he was having this relationship with his first wife, he showed how he had learned dysfunction from his father, because he didn't know how to have relationships with women because his father modeled dysfunction for him. Now, as Jake LaMotta got out here and got involved with his wife, he basically wasn't having a good relationship with her because he didn't see that model for him. And his pattern of picking women was he wound up getting involved with female predators or women with really serious issues. Now, I believe his first wife was a dysfunctional woman herself, but Jake LaMotta, as he was continuing to build his career, he wound up getting involved with another woman who is known as Beverly Thaler, also known as Vicky LaMotta. And Vicky LaMotta is basically a woman who was in crisis herself because she was a 16-year-old girl getting involved with the much older Jake LaMotta. And as she got involved with the much older Jake LaMotta was not really thinking about boundaries as related to his situation as a boxer. And I find it very interesting that people will sit there and talk about guys like R. Kelly in the black community, but people will go out here and praise Jake LaMotta who was involved with an underage white girl in the Bronx. And as he was involved with this underage white girl, he basically shows the double standard as related to black men being involved with underage girls. But the whole thing is that Jake LaMotta basically is seen as an icon, even though he had gotten involved with this 16-year-old girl. A guy knows a girl is different from a woman, even because even in the film Raging Bull, they acknowledge this. But this just shows how Jake LaMotta really hadn't learned about male life skills such as boundaries, and really didn't participate in looking to look out for his career as a boxer, because the scandal could have basically destroyed him. However, because of the white supremacist media, they basically gave him a pass, and they gave him a pass because he was somebody they wanted to invest in. But when I look at Jake LaMotta, it just shows me the kind of dysfunctional frame of thinking that beta males are in, because beta males just go out here and they pick women based on looks. And the main reason why Jake LaMotta got involved with Vicky LaMotta, who was born Beverly Thaler, was because he wanted to just get with this white girl, even though he was married. And this girl he wanted to get with was a piece of work herself. She had been involved with guys in organized crime, and she had real serious issues because she had been abused and sexually violated. But Jake LaMotta still wanted to get with this woman, and he wanted to get involved with this woman because basically he was caught up in her looks and thought that because she was attractive, she would fit into his smooth world. And because he wanted to fit her into his smooth world, he didn't really think about how optically bad this was looking for him, and it really showed how he was not a leader. No, it basically showed Jake LaMotta basically was a follower, and it was that follower mindset that prevented him from being able to indulge in the success of his boxing career. Because the big problem with Jake LaMotta is that even though he was somebody who had really good skills as a boxer, he really didn't know how to lead himself due to the dysfunctional way he was raised by his father, who basically didn't teach him how to set a course for himself or set a direction for himself. And that's what made his life tumultuous as related to his business and personal life, because he didn't know how to lead himself. He didn't know how to set a course for himself, that once he got the success of being known as the world middleweight champion, he wasn't able to maintain that success. And he wasn't able to maintain that success because he was not taught the male life skills or male survival skills of leadership. And because he wasn't taught the male life skills or survival skills of leadership, even though he had multiple fights and made lots of money, he wasn't able to maintain any of that success. And he wasn't able to maintain that success because he just did not have that discipline or resolve to set a course for his fights or set a direction for where he wanted to go on those fights. And that was the big problem with Jake LaMotta. Yes, he was a bull, but he wasn't somebody who had focus or direction. And these are only skills that a father can teach a son, about having focus and direction. And sadly, he didn't get that from his father, and that's why his life was complete chaos. I mean, as he got involved with Vicky LaMotta, she basically was a piece of work herself, because of all of the dysfunction she learned, so she wasn't able to help meet his needs. And basically the relationship became tumultuous to the point where Jake LaMotta was abusing both of his wives. I mean, he abused his first wife to the point where she wanted nothing to do with him, then abused the second wife, Vicky, who had children for them. And then after Jake LaMotta's career took a decline, what happened with Jake LaMotta after he wound up having the St. Valentine's Day of Massacre of Boxing, where he fought Sugar Ray Robinson for the final time, what happened was that Sugar Ray Robinson wound up winning that fight, And after this massacre, we saw the end of Jake LaMotta as the boxing champ, who was the champ from 1949 to 1951. And after boxing, this is where Jake LaMotta's career basically went into a state of decline, and he showed more dysfunctional behavior as he started to own and manage a bar in Miami. Now, he did do acting and did try to be a comedian. Unfortunately, because he didn't know how to navigate life in the world, what happened was in 1958, he got involved with some underage girls at a club, in the club that he owned in Miami, and this basically led to him getting arrested and serving 6 months on a chain gang. And then he had to deal with issues as related to him being involved in the underworld of boxing with organized crime, and just couldn't really make life work the way it could. And again, while he had these big fights in his life, again, he couldn't overcome the fight that he had as related to setting a course in life, and everything was rough for him because he didn't get the basic life skills to be a man, and this basically made him a man in crisis in spite of all of his success in the ring. And in spite of all of his success in the ring, he wasn't able to come out on top like the late Muhammad Ali, who became an icon of boxing. No, the Bronx Bull basically showed what happens when a boy learns to be a man from a man in crisis. Now, if you want to learn more about what leads to males winding up on a road to dysfunction that leads to them not being able to actualize their potential or their success, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Smashwords, the iBookstore, Google Play, and you can also find it in paperback by ordering it online at online booksellers like Barnes & Noble, and you can also find it at big box retailers like Walmart and Target. Now, this was a video requested by a viewer about the Man Crisis, and if you want me to make a video about the Man Crisis or historical men in crisis like this video, you can send a donation of a minimum of $15 to the PayPal or the Cash App for my time, and I will make that video for you. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.